Cheers!
There you go.
Books.
I love the taste of books in the afternoon, evening. So here we are, another edition of
Spread the Word!
Yahoo! Okay, so Danielle, talk to us about your book.
Okay, so I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it's by Talia Hibbert. I loved this book. What I loved about this is that it was not like your usual rom-com. There was a recent article talking about like this new wave of rom-coms where they're talking about more serious issues. Mm-hmm. And this one is definitely in that new wave, and I really, really appreciate that about it. So this is about Chloe Brown, who has a near-death experience, so she makes a list of all these items that she wants to do. She's very type A, and she also has a chronic illness, and she enlists her neighbor, whose name is Red, to help her do these things, and they're kind of an unlikely pairing because they do have that whole dynamic of like, they argue and kind of hate each other at first. More of like a Pride and Prejudice thing, mm-hmm. where they're like, they misunderstand each other. Because she comes from a rich family, and he doesn't. He's like an artist, and he views her as like kind of stuck up and makes assumptions based on the fact that she is rich. So there is that that tension build up, but it makes the sex scenes really great later on.
Yeah. 5 out of 5 great sex scenes.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good. Like, my copy should actually look much more tired than this. But if you know me, you know that I am very gentle with my books. So yeah, she enlists his help, and it's kind of this like journey through figuring out being in a relationship with somebody who does have a chronic illness and what that means, and being totally accepted for who you are on all levels. And I just really love it because it really expands beyond the usual archetypes of, you know, damsel, knight in shining armor. It goes beyond that because there's a little bit of like, they're saving each other kind of thing.
I like the saving each other.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
That's what partnership is about.
Right. And it's just so good.
Oh.
It's just so good, guys. I just love it so much. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Great.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll go next. So I read The Great Pretender by Susanna. It's not Callahan. Cahalan? Susanna C. That's what I'm just going to call her. Susanna C. This is her follow-up to Brain on Fire.
No.
So that came out a few years ago. She had an autoimmune disease that was misdiagnosed as schizophrenia. And so that brings us to The Great Pretender. The name partially comes because these are diseases that act as pretenders. A lot of times you have physical diseases that are found within the body that manifest as mental diseases. If you can't find a diagnosis and you do have a disease that presents with symptoms that could be diagnosed as mental diagnoses, a lot of people just end up in the mental health system, which is not much of a system for many people. But it starts with looking at, the author gives her experience, and it all starts with Nellie Bly. This book had me like from the beginning just knowing the story of the author, but then you introduce Nellie Bly and Blackwell Island into it, and I was like, I am on board 100%. That's just a fascinating story in and of itself. Yeah. So this book is chock full of terrifying adventures through history related to mental health, and the question of is it mental health or just mental study?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, in a vast departure from either of those two things, both very adult, very serious things about mental health, sex. I will be discussing what I'm excited about for November, which is the return of the Fowls, but in this case, the twins. Did either of you read Artemis Fowl?
No.
Oh my God! Okay, so like a little bit of background is that in these books, they're fantasy in that fairies and gnomes and dwarves and stuff do exist, and they are hidden out underground. And the original series is about Artemis Fowl. He is an evil mastermind, and he is trying to steal leprechaun gold. And he gets found out by like this fairy, and they end up teaming up because he actually isn't so much of an evil mastermind at heart. So his brothers are still at the Fowl Manor, and they are twins, but like the most opposite that twins can possibly be. You can kind of see a picture of them on the cover. It's Miles and Beckett. So Miles is more like put together, very sharp and clean, very scientific minded. And Beckett, he speaks to animals and stuff, and like they're constantly getting on each other's nerves, like in a good natured way, because Miles is always very like trying to explain things logically to Beckett or make him speak logically. And Beckett's like, why are you trying to bore me down with these details?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to experience life. That's like their dynamic, but they're both clearly very intelligent in their own ways. So they get kidnapped in the very beginning, and there is a nobleman after them. He wants to steal knowledge about drinking from a specific fountain that's like the Fowls have found it in the past, so he's looking for that knowledge. They're taken to a blackout zone in Amsterdam to be questioned by a nun who is...
That's the most terrifying thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, questioned by a nun.
So they're really, really fun, obviously. And it's very funny and like tongue-in-cheek in a lot of ways. And he's really good at writing action. And it's just a romp, I would say.
A romp.
But like a delightful romp, not a sexy romp.
This was a sexy romp.
So here we are at the end of another episode of
Spread the word!
And we're very happy that you joined us. And we are excited to talk to you next month as well for our favorite picks for December, which we will maybe even have some like fun holiday surprises. And let us know what you thought of last month's picks, please. Some of you came in and you snatched up the books from the last 2 months, and we'd love to hear what you thought about those books. Please leave your reviews in the comments, or just tell us in person. We love hearing what you think about books that we choose.
Come check out these books, they're so good.
Bye.
See you next time.